Hello, Symposiast. I'm Dr. Angela Puca, Religious Studies PhD and University Lecturer, and this is your online resource for the academic study of magic, esotericism, paganism, shamanism, and all things occult. The human experience is fundamentally shaped by consciousness. It defines not only how we perceive the world, but also how we interact with it, both practically and symbolically. Within the paradigm of chaos magic, consciousness is not a monolithic entity, but a dynamic, mutable state, a tool and a medium for transformation. This episode will explore two pivotal concepts in chaos magic: Gnosis, the focused, altered state of consciousness that bridges the mundane and the magical, and Multimind, the recognition and utilization of the mind's multiplicity to engage with reality in novel ways. But before we dive into today's discussion, I'd like to remind you that this project of delivering free academic scholarship based on peer reviewed sources and, like in this episode's case, also primary sources, can only exist thanks to your support. So if you have the means and want to keep this project going, I would really appreciate it if you'd consider supporting it on Patreon, joining my fantastic growing Patreon community. We have monthly lectures, a book club, a Discord server. There's also the option of one-to-one conversations with me. So I'm sure that you're going to love it. So please consider signing up to my Patreon. Also, you can support me via PayPal, Coffee, and also checking out my services and my courses on my website at drangelapuca.com. Thank you so much for considering, and let's crack on with our fantastic topic for today. Gnosis is essential to chaos magic because it provides the psychological condition necessary for magical operations to bypass conscious resistance and self-doubt. Chaos magicians like Austin Osman and Peter Carroll highlight that the success of magical act hinges on the ability to silence the chattering mind and enter a state of single-pointed focus. This focus, often described as a trance-like absorption or deep abstraction, allows the magician to manipulate symbols, intent, and energy with precision and effectiveness. Gnosis is not unique to chaos magic. It is rooted in historic traditions that include both Eastern and Western mysticism, from Buddhist dhyana states to the Gnostic pursuit of transcendence. Parallel to this is the concept of the multi-mind, which rejects the notion of a singular, indivisible self. Instead, it posits that human consciousness consists of a legion of selves, each with its desires, fears, and patterns. As Peter Carroll suggests in Cyber Magic, the multi-mind is a fertile ground for chaos magicians, as it enables the practitioner to adopt, discard, and reinvent aspects of identity in response to changing circumstances. This plurality of the self is not seen as a weakness or dysfunction, but as a resource, a repository of potential roles and perspectives that can be harnessed in magical practice. These concepts are intricately linked. Gnosis, as a state of concentrated awareness, is the mechanism by which the magician accesses and commands the multi-mind. Through techniques such as visualization, mantra, and sigil work, chaos magic bridges the conscious and subconscious, allowing the practitioner to engage deeply with their inner multiplicity. As Carol explains, this synergy enables the magician to bypass traditional conditioning and create new realities from the ground of imagination and desire. So let's now try and provide a comprehensive exploration of these ideas, examining their theoretical underpinnings and practical applications. We will try and delve into the historical origins of Gnosis and Multimind, analyze their relevance within chaos magic, and explore how they are enacted in magical rituals. Furthermore, we will consider their broader implications not only for magical practice but also for our understanding of consciousness, identity, and transformation in a modern context. By the end of this episode, it is hoped that we will come to see how chaos magic's unique approach to consciousness resonates with contemporary challenges of identity and fragmentation, offering both a critique and a methodology for navigating the complexities of the modern self. Through the lens of Gnosis and Multimind, chaos magic emerges as a profound and practical art that engages with the deepest aspect of human potential, inviting us to reimagine the boundaries of the possible. To understand the significance of Gnosis and multi-mind in chaos magic, it is essential to delve into the theoretical foundation. These concepts are not inventions of modern magical thought, but the products of a long evolution of esoteric traditions, intersecting with contemporary psychology and metaphysics. Gnosis, as a term and as a practice, has deep roots in both historical and mystical frameworks, while the multi-mind reflects a paradigm shift in understanding the human psyche within a fragmented and dynamic cultural landscape. The concept of Gnosis has evolved significantly over time, shaped by its roots in ancient Gnostic traditions and its later interpretations within modern esoteric frameworks like chaos magic. For the early Gnostics, Gnosis, derived from the Greek word for knowledge, referred to a profound experiential understanding of divine truths. This was not mere intellectual knowledge, but a transformative awareness that allowed individuals to transcend the illusory nature of the material world. In Gnostic cosmology, the material realm was often seen as the flawed creation of a demiurge, a lesser divine figure. True liberation, they believed, lay in piercing this veil of illusion to reconnect with the pleroma, the ultimate source of existence. For the Gnostics, Gnosis was the key to spiritual salvation, a deeply personal and unmediated encounter with the transcendent. At this point, I think it's important to highlight that this explanation of Gnosis is Peter Carroll's, because when we look at the history of philosophy, of course, Gnosis is present in other traditions with different types of meanings. But what I'm tracing here in terms of the historical evolution is what Peter Carroll portrays. So that is the perspective that he gives, and also the perspective that chaos magic more generally tends to give when it comes to Gnosis and obviously the multi-mind. So just a little historical clarification, because Gnosis doesn't just belong to the Gnostics. We find it across quite a few traditions. Perhaps I could do another video on the historical evolution of Gnosis in and of itself. Let me know if you'd be interested in the comment section. Now back to chaos magic's perspective. Centuries later, the term found new life in an unexpected context, the world of chaos magic. Here, Gnosis was radically redefined, not as a path to spiritual enlightenment, but as a practical tool for magical efficacy. Peter J. Carroll, one of chaos magic's foundational figures, reconceptualized Gnosis as a specific state of consciousness essential for effective magical practice. In this framework, Gnosis is an altered state achieved through techniques such as intense focus, trance, ritual ecstasy, or overexhaustion. The goal is to silence the analytical mind and bypass the distractions of ordinary thought, allowing the practitioner to implant magical intentions directly into the subconscious. Unlike the spiritual liberation sought by the Gnostics, this modern interpretation is rooted in psychological pragmatism and results driven practice. Despite this reimagining, there are resonances between ancient and modern uses of Gnosis. Both emphasize unmediated experience. For the Gnostics, it is an intimate connection with ultimate reality, while for chaos magicians, it is a direct engagement with the subconscious to enact change. Yet the two diverge in purpose and application. Ancient Gnosticism sought to escape the material world and its imperfections, while chaos magic used Gnosis to influence and transform that very world. In essence, while Peter Carroll's adoption of the term draws on its linguistic and conceptual heritage, it represents a creative reinterpretation rather than a continuation of Gnostic theology. Chaos Magic reframes Gnosis for a modern, eclectic audience, transforming it from a metaphysical pursuit of liberation into a functional state of mind aimed at practical, magical outcomes. This evolution shows the adaptability of historic concepts, which continue to find new expressions in the ever shifting landscape of spiritual and magical traditions. Peter Carroll, in his foundational works Liber Null and Cyber Magic, reframes Gnosis as a neurological and psychological condition rather than a purely mystical one. He describes it as single pointed awareness, a state in which the magician's intent is focused so intensely that all doubts, distractions, and mental noise are silenced. This state is crucial for magical operations because it allows the practitioner to access the subconscious directly, planting the seeds of intent where they can germinate without interference from rational skepticism. The multi-mind, on the other hand, reflects a more recent development in the understanding of the self, influenced by postmodern psychology and esoteric traditions. Chaos Magic rejects the monotheistic notion of a singular, unified self, a concept, according to him, inherited from religious and philosophical systems that prioritize stability and order. Instead, it embraces the idea that the self is a composite, a legion of sub personalities or fragments, each shaped by distinct experiences, roles, and emotions. This perspective aligns with contemporary cognitive and psychological theories, such as the multiple self model in psychology, which views the mind as a network of semi autonomous agents working in parallel. In Chaos Magic, the multi-mind is not a problem to be resolved, but a resource to be exploited. Practitioners are encouraged to recognize and embrace their internal multiplicity, using it as a tool for transformation. For example, a magician might deliberately adopt different personas or roles, accessing specific aspects of their psyche to achieve magical and personal goals. As Carroll notes, the multi-mind is the theater of possibilities, where each fragment of the self can be activated or silenced depending on the situation. What unites Gnosis and the multi-mind is their shared focus on bypassing traditional conditioning. Gnosis provides the means, a state of heightened focus that transcends habitual patterns of thought and behavior, while the multi-mind provides the material, the diverse and often contradictory aspects of the self that can be harnessed for magical work. Together, they form the core of Chaos Magic's approach to consciousness, a dynamic interplay of focus and flexibility, allowing the magician to navigate the complexities of reality and reshape it according to their will. By integrating these concepts, Chaos Magic offers a framework that is both deeply practical and profoundly transformative. It redefines consciousness not as a static entity, but as a fluid, adaptable medium for creative expression and self discovery. This theoretical foundation sets the stage for the practical exploration of Gnosis and the multi-mind, as we now turn next to their application in magical practice and rituals. In Chaos Magic, the manipulation and exploration of consciousness are central to achieving magical efficacy. Now we are going into the two primary mechanisms for this exploration, the attainment of Gnosis and the practical application of the multi-mind. These concepts challenge traditional ideas of selfhood and provide a foundation for a flexible and dynamic engagement with reality. Gnosis in Chaos Magic is a deliberate alteration of consciousness aimed at single-pointed focus. We have established that. This state allows the practitioner to suspend their internal dialogue, the ceaseless mental chatter that imposes doubt and distraction on magical intent. In this state, the magician becomes entirely absorbed in their goal, creating a channel for their will to bypass the conscious mind and embed directly into the subconscious. This principle echoes the insights of Austin Osman Spare, who clarified the need to achieve austere mental vacuity in order to empower sigils or other magical tools. The methods for achieving Gnosis are as diverse as the practitioners themselves. Some of the most effective techniques include breath control, sensory deprivation, and prolonged focus on mantras or visual symbols. Peter Carroll highlights that even extreme methods such as exhaustion through physical activity or sensory overload via rhythmic music and flashing lights can induce this heightened state. These techniques are not arbitrary, but are grounded in the recognition that disrupting the usual patterns of mental activity allows deeper levels of the mind to surface, where intent can be planted without interference. While Gnosis enables the magician to reach a state of undistracted focus, the multi-mind provides the content for magical work. The multi-mind framework posits that the human mind is not a unified entity but a collection of sub-personalities, each with its desires, fears, and capabilities. This perspective shifts the focus of magical practice from integration to interaction. Instead of striving for a singular true self, the magician embraces the complexity of their inner world, seeing it as a resource rather than a limitation. Practically, this means that chaos magic encourages the practitioner to engage with their internal multiplicity. Techniques such as role playing, guided visualization, and ritualized embodiment allow magicians to access specific parts of their psyche that are most suited to a given task. For instance, a magician might adopt an archetype of strengthened confidence during a ritual designed to secure a job or use shadow work to confront and transform repressed fears. The interplay between Gnosis and Multimind is one of Chaos Magic's most innovative contributions to esotericism. Gnosis acts as the key to unlock the multi-mind, enabling practitioners to access parts of themselves that are usually hidden or underutilized. In practice, this might involve using Gnosis to enter a trance state where different sub personalities can be called forth, explored, and reprogrammed. This dynamic process reflects the Chaos Magic ethos of adaptability and pragmatism, where the focus is on results rather than adherence to dogma. One of the most striking examples of this synergy is found in the practice of sigil magic. A sigil, a symbol representing the magician's intent, is charged during a state of gnosis, bypassing the conscious mind and embedding directly into the subconscious. The multi-mind is then engaged to process the intent, with different subpersonalities working behind the scene to manifest the desired outcome. The process is as much psychological as it is magical, and this demonstrates the seamless integration of theory and practice in chaos magic. As chaos magic evolves, the methods for exploring states of consciousness continue to expand. Digital tools, virtual spaces, and emerging understandings of neuroplasticity offer new avenues for accessing gnosis and engaging with the multi-mind. Whether through traditional rituals or innovative practices, the core principle remains the same. Consciousness is not a fixed entity, but a malleable medium for transformation. Understanding these states of consciousness allows us to grasp the mechanisms of chaos magic and gain insight into the broader potential of the human mind. So, as we examine the practical applications of these concepts, the focus will now shift from theory to action and show how Gnosis and the multi-mind are utilized in real-world magical practices. The exploration of consciousness in chaos magic is not purely theoretical. It is inherently practical, aimed at achieving tangible results in both magical and personal contexts. The synergy of Gnosis and the multi-mind provides a powerful framework for ritual work and allows practitioners to engage deeply with their inner and outer realities. So let's now examine how these concepts manifest in specific techniques. One of the most well-known and widely practiced techniques in chaos magic is sigil magic, a method developed by Austin Osman Spare and refined by later practitioners such as Peter Carroll. A sigil is a symbolic representation of the magician's intent, created by condensing a written statement of desire into an abstract graphic form. This process itself engages the multi-mind by requiring the magician to distill their intent into a concentrated symbol that resonates on a subconscious level. The next step in sigil magic is charging the sigil, which is where gnosis becomes essential. The sigil is charged when the magician enters a state of heightened focus or altered consciousness, bypassing the conscious mind's tendency to doubt or rationalize. Techniques for inducing this state vary and may include deep meditation, rhythmic drumming, ecstatic dance, or even moments of orgasmic intensity, as Spare originally suggested. Once charged, the sigil is typically forgotten, allowing the subconscious mind to process and manifest the intent without interference. Another significant practice in chaos magic is servitor creation, which builds on the concept of the multi-mind. A servitor is a semi-autonomous magical entity created by the magician to perform specific tasks. The creation process begins with defining the servitor's purpose and attributes, followed by designing a visual or symbolic representation. During a state of gnosis, the magician imbues this representation with intent, effectively programming the servitor to act as an extension of their will. The multi-mind plays a critical role in this process. The magician draws upon different aspects of their psyche to shape the servitor's characteristics, embedding fragments of their own personality into the entity. For example, a servitor designed to protect its creator might embody traits of vigilance and strength, drawn from the magician's inner archetypes. Once created, the servitor operates independently, carrying out its tasks while remaining connected to its creator for recharging or dissolution. Divination is another area where the interplay between Gnosis and Multimind is evident. Unlike traditional divinatory systems that rely heavily on established interpretations, chaos magic approaches divination as a dynamic and personal process. During a divination session, the magician enters a state of gnosis to quiet the conscious mind and allow intuitive insights to surface. Tools such as tarot cards, runes, or pendulums may be used, but the emphasis is on the practitioner's ability to interpret symbols and patterns through their unique lens. The multi-mind enriches this process by enabling the magician to access multiple perspectives simultaneously. Each sub-personality or inner aspect may interpret the symbols differently, contributing to a holistic and nuanced understanding of the situation. In some cases, divination can act as a form of retroactive enchantment, where the act of interpreting a symbol influences future outcomes. This interplay between observation and intention highlights the fluid boundaries between divination and magic in chaos practice. As chaos magic adapts to the digital age, these techniques have evolved in intriguing ways. Virtual spaces such as online rituals or augmented reality platforms provide new context for gnosis and multi-mind engagement. Digital sigils, animated servitors, and AI-assisted divination tools are becoming increasingly popular, which reflects the adaptability of chaos magic to contemporary technologies. These innovations underscore the movement's core principle that the methods and tools of magic are secondary to the practitioner's ability to harness their consciousness creatively and effectively. By examining these practical applications, it becomes clear that chaos magic is not about rigid systems or doctrines, but about empowering individuals to explore and manipulate their realities. Gnosis and Multimind provide the foundation for this empowerment, offering tools for transformation that are as flexible and diverse as the practitioners themselves. The concepts of Gnosis and Multimind, though theoretically rich, are best understood through their application in real-world magical practices. So let's examine historical examples, modern accounts, and emerging trends that illustrate the transformative potential of these techniques. One of the earliest and most influential figures in chaos magic, Austin Osman Spare, provides a foundational example of how Gnosis and Multimind interplay in practice. Spare's method of sigil creation and activation through trance or orgasmic states exemplifies the use of Gnosis to bypass the rational mind and access deeper layers of consciousness. Spare described this process as atavistic resurgence, wherein the magician taps into primal energies buried in the unconscious mind. His emphasis on achieving mental vacuity, or what he termed neither consciousness, aligns with modern understandings of gnosis as a state of single-pointed focus. Building on Spare's work, Peter Carroll brought a systematic and experimental approach to chaos magic, particularly in his practice of ritual design. Carroll's concept of creating servitors, autonomous entities programmed with specific tasks, offers a compelling case study of the multi-mind in action. Modern chaos magicians continue to innovate, adapting these practices to their unique circumstances. Hein emphasizes that such practices are not about supernatural forces, but about aligning subconscious intent with external opportunities. The role of Gnosis and Multimind in divination is particularly striking in modern adaptations. One chaos magician described using tarot cards in a ritualized setting where Gnosis was induced through breathwork and rhythmic drumming. During this state, he interpreted the cards not as fixed symbols, but as dynamic prompts that shifted depending on his focus and emotional resonance. This method reflects the multi-mind's influence, as different aspects of his psyche offered layered insights into the reading. The experience not only provided guidance but also acted as a form of self analysis and uncovered subconscious patterns influencing his decisions. The digital age has introduced new possibilities for these practices. Digital sigils, animated and shared online, have become a popular tool among chaos magicians. These sigils are often activated collectively in virtual rituals, where participants enter states of gnosis through guided meditations broadcast over video platforms. Similarly, servitors are being reimagined as digital constructs, with some practitioners using AI and coding to create virtual entities that perform tasks like managing schedules or sending reminders, blurring the line between technology and magic. Another emerging trend is the use of virtual reality, VR, as a magical space. One practitioner recounted a VR ritual in which participants entered a shared virtual temple designed to mimic ancient ceremonial spaces. Through avatars, they performed a ritual that included invoking specific aspects of their multi-mind, represented as archetypal characters. The experience reportedly enhanced their sense of connection to these aspects, demonstrating how technology can amplify traditional practices. These examples highlight not only the flexibility of chaos magic, but also its enduring relevance. Whether practiced in traditional settings or adapted to modern technologies, the principles of Gnosis and Multimind remain central. They empower magicians to explore the full spectrum of their consciousness, transforming both their inner and outer worlds. The practices of Gnosis and Multimind in chaos magic offer profound opportunities for personal transformation and magical exploration. However, they also raise important questions about their ethical, psychological, and cultural implications. So let's look a bit more into that. One of the most celebrated aspects of chaos magic is its emphasis on adaptability and pragmatism. The dual concepts of Gnosis and Multimind offer tools to engage deeply with one's consciousness, fostering creativity and self awareness. The ability to enter a state of Gnosis allows practitioners to bypass the limitations of conscious thought and tap into consciousness, where intent can operate unimpeded by doubt or fear. Similarly, embracing the multi-mind encourages individuals to see themselves not as static entities but as dynamic systems of possibilities. By actively engaging with their inner multiplicity, chaos magicians can overcome cultural conditioning, address psychological blockages, and transform their realities in practical and meaningful ways. However, these same practices can present significant psychological challenges. The deliberate induction of altered states, such as gnosis, can be destabilizing for those unprepared for the intense focus or detachment required. Entering such states without proper grounding may exacerbate feelings of disconnection or dissociation, especially for individuals with a history of trauma or mental health issues. Similarly, the multi-mind framework, while empowering, can lead to confusion or identity fragmentation if not approached with care. Practitioners, therefore, might have to navigate the fine line between engaging their inner multiplicity as a resource and becoming overwhelmed by it. The ethical implications of chaos magic are equally complex. The philosophy of nothing is true, everything is permitted, often associated with chaos magic, can be liberating, but it also invites scrutiny. While the principle encourages questioning societal norms and embracing relativism, it may be misinterpreted as a license for irresponsible or harmful behavior. For instance, the creation of servitors or the use of sigils to influence others' actions raise ethical concerns about consent and manipulation. Chaos magic's lack of centralized doctrine or moral framework makes these issues highly subjective, leaving practitioners to define their own boundaries of responsibility. That is one of the essential parts of the of all left-hand path traditions, to be fair, that the morality is really established by the individual. It's not something that is externally imposed or determined. From a cultural perspective, chaos magic's focus on deconstructing traditional systems of belief has been both celebrated and critiqued. Advocates see it as a necessary challenge to dogma and institutionalized power, aligning with postmodern values of skepticism and individualism. Critics, however, argue that its radical relativism risks eroding meaningful connections to shared cultural or spiritual frameworks. The emphasis on eclecticism and personal experimentation, while empowering, may unintentionally contribute to a sense of alienation or detachment from larger communities. Despite these challenges, Chaos Magic offers a compelling critique of modernity and its associated pressures. Its practices provide a means of navigating the fragmented realities of contemporary life, where identity and meaning are increasingly fluid. By highlighting the adaptability of the multi-mind and the transformative potential of Gnosis, Chaos Magic equips practitioners with tools to thrive in uncertain and rapidly changing environments. As one practitioner put it, Chaos Magic doesn't give you answers, it gives you questions and the means to ask them in ways you never thought possible. The digital age presents new frontiers for both the potential and the critique of chaos magic. While technology enables innovative practices such as virtual rituals and digital servitors, it also amplifies the risks of disconnection and ethical ambiguity. In conclusion, the practices of chaos magic and multi-mind highlight the immense potential of chaos magic to transform both individual lives and broader cultural narratives. However, their power comes with responsibilities that practitioners must carefully navigate. In closing, the study of Gnosis and multi-mind serves as both a window into the practices of chaos magic and a broader reflection on the human experience. It reminds us that consciousness is not a static entity, but a living, evolving force, one that holds the potential to shape not only our personal realities, but also the world around us. Through the lens of chaos magic, we are invited to reimagine what it means to be human, to engage with the unknown, and to cast our will upon the infinite canvas of possibility. This is it for today's video. If you watched until this point, leave me a brain or a mind emoji. Now, my dear symposiast, given that you are really the sponsor of this channel, I don't have any other fancy sponsors, I have you, who are indeed fancy. Um, I'd like to remind you that this project can only exist thanks to your support. So if you have the means, it would be lovely if you would support my work with one-off PayPal donations by joining my fantastic Inner Symposium on Patreon. It's a fantastic community. You will definitely love it if you join. And also, there are other options, coffee, and I would definitely recommend you to check out my services and my courses at drangelapuca.com. And also signing up for my newsletter. It's free and keeps you up to date with everything that I'm up to. And when I run, for instance, discounts on my website, the newsletter is the first place that is gonna see that news. So when there are limited spots available, the newsletter subscribers are the first one that are going to get the news. Well, it actually in order it goes from patrons, newsletter subscribers, and then I post things publicly. So I always allow my patrons to have the first the priority to sign up when things have limited spots, and then newsletter subscribers and everybody can join for free, and then I post it publicly. So yeah, consider signing up for my newsletter because I also talk about all sorts of things about my life and my academic and historic journey. And otherwise, if you like this video, don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know what you thought about this video in the comments. Have you ever, I'm sure that probably a lot of you have heard of Gnosis, but I'm wondering how many of you were familiar with the concept of the multi-mind, whether it's a bit less obscure as a concept in chaos magic. So let me know in the comments everything that you thought, and please share this video or any of my videos around so that the symposium can grow. It really means a lot to me. So please do so. And thank you so much for being here. I'm really proud of you for being committed to your learning. and I hope that you stay tuned for all the academic fun. Bye for now.